Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. I'm Matt, your storyteller for the evening, and as usual on a Tuesday, we are playing Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, specifically the story Fall of London, which is being inserted into our own Chronicle of London Ascendant like an unpleasant house guest. Yes, as usual, joining me as stream manager is Steve. Say hello, Steve.
Hi there, Matt. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, doing okay.
Awesome. Steve will be doing various things in the background involving pictures and cameras and chat and all that good stuff, rules referencing, that kind of thing. But until we need him, he will be banished back into the shadows, and he'll be damn grateful for it as well. So we have some promo to get out of the way before we start. There's a bunch of links down below, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitch. There are links to our YouTube or Twitch. Why not check out the other one? There are links to our social media. There's links to our Discord where you can join and talk about all things Telling Tales and roleplay with us. There's links to our Patreon should you want to support us. There's some tasty treats in the tiers on there, including some character creation videos, like for this very series, for example. We also run some other series weekly. We run Call of Cthulhu on Mondays with Johnny as the keeper. We run this on a Tuesday, and we run Simbroom on Wednesdays. They're all at 8 o'clock. I nearly said GMT, but of course it is BST now because, don't even get me started. 8 o'clock BST. Monday through to Wednesday. The first Saturday of every month, we also run a one-shot, a longer single-shot story, and that means that it's happening this Saturday, April the 3rd. We're playing Mork Borg, which is a wonderful doom metal album of an RPG. The teaser trailer for it, for a one-shot, just went live on Twitch, so check that out. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow as well. Yeah, come join us for that, 3 o'clock on Saturday. It'll be good fun. So I think that's all the promo, so without any further ado, let's start getting into the recap material for Fall of London. So I'll give a little bit of a broad description of where we are at first, and then I'll bring the players on. So our coterie has been awoken after about 60 years of slumber, where they were put into torpor for reasons unknown. They've been brought back to a London on the edge of conflict between mortals and kindred alike, and they've been put in a situation where the people who raised them up from torpor have demanded that they find some artifacts with a link to Mithras, the former extremely powerful vampiric prince of the city. And now they're having to go around and do it. One of these artifacts is in the possession of Queen Anne, the current prince of the city, because Mithras is dead. And they're at Queen Anne's party in Elysium, in the Shard. And they're having a lot of fun at the party. I think they'd agree. And why don't they come on and agree with me? First, let's have Neill, who plays Catherine. How was Catherine doing at the party, Neill?
Catherine had a wonderful time with a couple of mild exceptions. Went in, presented her gift, which was an artist who will totally not come under any harm whatsoever. This was looked on unfavorably by her apparent rival, Lady Churchill. Then went to mingle for a bit, managed to ride on the coattails of some strange, friendly kindred, Henry Mears, to introduce her around the party. Followed him to be introduced to a notable kindred, Anasov. Turned out that Henry Mears was a blowhard who no one liked, so she quickly shed herself of him and instead just started mingling proper, receiving the advice, however, to stay away from that Giovanni fellow, as he wasn't good to be associated with.
And also mingling at the party, partly alongside Catherine and partly separately, was Alice, who is played by Justin.
It's entirely true. I mingled, drank some blood, met some Tremere, talked to Aish Danielle about the goings on with Tremere these days, since the
Which is
70
mostly
years or
not
so.
good.
Yeah, not great since I was last dead and kicking. Pretty much just try to have a fun time. Pretty much.
And I can't remember, was Alice also warned against associating with the Giovanni?
No.
I don't think you were, but someone else who was. It was Tommy, played by Pierre. So how's the party going for Pierre? Or Tommy, rather. Both of you. You know, maybe you've got different opinions, Tommy.
Yeah, Pierre loves it. Tommy is not so much of like a party animal. He's more of animal than party. So he was basically skulking around, not really socializing, kind of on the fringes. He did overhear. I did overhear a little birdie talking to Catherine about the Giovanni amongst us. So that narrows it down to either Alice or Henry. I also spoke to a couple of the Nosferatu at the party, which was Anisov and Violet. What was her name?
Violet Mary, I believe.
Yeah, Violet Mary. She was lovely. A little bit above my pay grade, perhaps. But she offered me work. So maybe things aren't so horrifying after all. But yes, mostly skulking. Skulking was my main thing.
I'm sure things are wonderful and they will work out fine.
Yeah.
And then finally, let's talk Giovanni. Let's talk the character Henry, Dr. Henry Banerjee, and John, who plays him. How's Henry's party going?
I would like to point out that Henry was also warned against associating with Giovanni for a very different reason.
Yes, sure.
Henry decided to see if anyone approached or recognized him. Someone did, and we went and had a very nice talk where a seemingly drunk fool suddenly sobered up incredibly quickly and revealed he was my grandchild, which was exciting, and gave me the rundown of Clan Giovanni has now become Hector. We're not just the Giovanni anymore, and also don't ever talk to him in public because we're not actually supposed to be in the city.
Yes, it should be emphasized grandchild in the vampiric sense, not the
Yes.
not the mortal sense. And I think that was everything that kind of happened at the party. And then your names have been announced to go talk to Queen Anne by Lady Churchill, and that's pretty much where we left off. So first off, let's have a quick atmospheric. Let's have that shot of the Shard on opening night, and it looks like this again under the auspice of Queen Anne's party. There we go, lovely. Let's just leave that up for a couple of minutes while we see what happens next. So, as I say, just to slightly reiterate the setting here, you're in this huge open plan, sort of double floored area of the Shard, up on floors 66 and 67. Everything is glass, everything surrounding you, and the staircases are glass, rooms off to the side with glass walls. It's all rather majestic looking. Up to one side is a doorway through which you've seen many of the elders walking through the evening, and it is this door that Lady Scarlet Churchill, who seems not too fond of Catherine, but at least tepid on the rest of you, has walked out of and has announced your names to go see Queen Anne. So as this happens, I'm assuming that the four of you are going to make your way through the crowd to that doorway.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm going straight there.
Confidently with head held high.
I think it's safe to say that let's say you all meet up at the bottom of that stairwell, and as you do so, Darius, your torpor handler, I don't know, maybe that can be his title, kind of bumbles his way out of the crowd, holding his kind of customary briefcase, dressed in his fancy 70s suit, and says, "Oh, I didn't know. Do you want me in there with you?" He's kind of glancing upwards towards the door.
I mean, your name wasn't called, so probably not.
We'll be fine, Darius.
It's just so lovely for you to offer, though, darling. But let's speak after.
Oh, yes, of course, absolutely. Whatever you want. I'll just and he wanders off.
Does he seem relieved that he's not coming with us, or like
Yes.
saddened? Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
No. Yes, definitely relieved. definitely relieved.
Okay.
And he wanders off. You think in the direction of, say, Anisov. So you ascend the short length of glass stairs, and the ghouls, the big hefty armed ghouls on either side of that door, step aside for you to enter. It's effectively an entirely new set of rooms here, without that huge sort of central party area, but still a large central circular room and a number of more glass walled rooms around it. But most people are in this central room. You recognize a number of the people who you've seen walk in there, and they all have the kind of very steady, understated mannerisms that you would associate with elders in Elysium. They are confident, they are powerful. This city is theirs. In the center of it is a desk, a rather old-fashioned wooden desk, odd to see in such a modern environment like this. Lady Scarlet Churchill is stood next to it, and sat behind it is a good-looking and pale white woman in her early 50s. She's graceful, regal, and with immaculately styled short grey hair. She's dressed in a high-end, beautifully tailored event gown. You do not need to be told this is Queen Anne. The entire room revolves around her, and as you walk forward, kind of a ghoul indicates for you to start walking forward. You see that all around the edges of the room, where there's kind of little conversations happening. Well, you know what? Why don't we all make a wits plus awareness roll? And let's say it's difficulty 2. You can take half if your wits plus awareness is 4 or more.
Yes, I'm going to do that.
5 dice, and I got 3 successes.
I had 4, so I'm taking half.
Sure.
I rolled 3 dice with 0 successes.
Okay.
This is definitely an awareness roll, not an insight roll, right?
It's definitely an awareness roll. Yep.
Are you a very insightful person, Alice?
I don't.
2 successes.
Sure. So everyone but Catherine, then, it sounds like Catherine's probably too focused on making good impression.
Yes.
But the other 3 of you, there's many an elder is very slyly watching whatever's about to happen out of the corner of their eye as they feign interest in a conversation. You stride forward to the table in front of Queen Anne. She was writing something with a kind of dipping pen on a piece of paper in front of her, and then kind of glances up as if to register you are there for the first time, and gives you all quite perhaps one of the coldest smiles you've ever seen, and says, "You have my attention. I suggest you do not waste it." She beckons to Lady Scarlet, who passes her a list, and says, "Gifts. What are they?" Any one of you can take the lead in explaining your own gift.
I guess I'll stand to attention and kind of straighten up, and I'll say, Queen Anne, I have a gift that is perhaps a little unusual. I thought you might like it. It is a gift of service. I believe there is a war that has already begun and is escalating rapidly, and I am pledging to offer my service as a soldier in that war.
Queen Anne kind of glances at Lady Scarlet and says, "A war?" And Scarlet leans down, but loud enough for you to hear. But certainly, for the show, it is an aside to the Queen. Says, "Oh, the small incidents with the so-called Operation Antigen, my Queen." Queen Anne nods and says, "Well, an offer of service is always intriguing, especially from a potent soldier such as yourself." Can you, Pierre, give me a roll? And I'm going to ask everyone for this roll to start thinking about what you're going to pick. And it is one of charisma, manipulation, or wits, plus etiquette. And the difficulty is going to be based on the quality of your gift, maybe with some other modifiers.
Okay.
So it depends which you think is, which you think you would have used. Your difficulty, Pierre, will be 3.
Okay. I think it's probably a wits thing. It's probably not I'm not a very charismatic person.
Sure.
So I'm rolling 2 dice. So let's go. That's a failure with 0 successes.
Okay. It occurs to me we should have done our remorse rolls at the beginning of the session, but we'll. They're probably not going to affect us in this scene, are they? So we will do them between next scenes. Someone remind me when this scene ends. Queen Anne sort of waves you off to the left-hand side and says, "Well, if anything comes up, we'll be sure to let you know." And who's next?
It will.
I will go next. Trying to cover for this undoubted faux pas that's just happened. I will curtsy slightly. My queen. Wait, do I know I'm Lady Catherine Montague? Have I been introduced?
Yes, I believe Scarlett referred to you in that way.
Lady Catherine Montague, at your service, my queen.
Oh, Lady Catherine, it's been quite some time.
Indeed, and it is a pleasure to be back in London and under your reign.
And what... She looks over at Churchill and then glances at you.
An artist, a mortal artist by the name of Samuel Spencer. I thought that Her Majesty might like something of the varied mortal styles so that she can be presented in all her glory.
I see. Well, do you want to mention the poem at this point as well?
No, I'm going to wait to see if she's displeased and use it as a backup.
Very well. Let's say so. I'm giving you a bit of a difficulty modifier for you're vengeful, aren't you? Yeah. Let's also go with difficulty 3. Let's go with difficulty 3.
Blood surge this as this feels like something important, which gives me 8 dice.
Ooh.
Oof! Ooh, that's a lot of dice.
Out of interest, which stat were you using? I
was using charisma plus
etiquette. It will have been.
Etiquette.
Yeah.
And I've rolled 2 successes with my 8 dice. So I'm going to re-roll 3 of my failures. My rouse check was fine though, so I'm still at hunger 0. Awesome. I'm only succeeding my rouse check at the moment.
Must be good to have some willpower left, Adrian.
Okay. And now I have rolled 2 crits. So that's 6. It's a bit of a difference between 2 and 6.
Bit of a difference. Queen Anne kind of leans back and claps her hand together in delight slightly and says, "Oh, Lady Catherine, you always did have a fancy for the most delightful artistic endeavors. I'm sure this young gentleman will be most promising. Please," she gestures for you to stand to the right.
I will glide serenely and not smugly, but smugly.
Give me a wits plus insight roll. Difficulty. God, I have to make up her stats now. I could look up in the book, but screw it. Let's say difficulty 3.
Is this the kind of thing I could blood surge because it feels important?
I'm basically telling you that someone is having a reaction to this.
That's fine. As long as it's not me judging to see if Queen Anne will think this is a terrible thing to do.
No.
So 5 dice and 4 successes, nearly a crit.
Okay. Lady Churchill is clearly displeased.
Excellent, excellent.
Who's going third?
Are
I-
our gifts visible? Are they here right in front of us, or?
That's a good question. And we didn't say. You know what? I think the physical ones are. I don't think the artist being there, and obviously Tommy's is service.
Yeah.
Is
But
he
yeah,
physically
I
there?
think it's reasonable. Let's say there's a table over on one side, and there's a massive range of, there's more than 100 gifts on there. So you might have to take a moment to pick yours out, but
Mine stand out a mile away, clearly.
Sure. Alice next.
Well, I explained to Queen Anne that I prepared this bouquet for her, and although it is an ephemeral thing, it is beautiful. There's some power in things that are both small and fragile, and pointing towards the sunflower, it is always impressive to see something so fragile turn to face the sun without fear.
I'm
And
gonna give you
yeah,
difficulty 4 on that.
that's good.
It runs up to difficulty 6, so I'm not, so you're not horribly fucking up.
Cool. Well, all I have is I'm going to go with wits, and I think that does fit with the whole message. I've got 2 successes.
Okay. Lady Catherine kind of briefly glances over at the Lady Catherine? No, that's Neill's character. Queen Anne briefly glances over at the bouquet you made and says, well, it is certainly very impressive, Alice. Although I feel that symbols of the sun do not carry the weight they once did in our city. But nevertheless, a wonderful, yes. She waves you over to the left-hand side to stand with Tommy.
Great.
Sort of, make eye contact and like.
Henry?
I will step forward,
Mm-hmm.
bow low,
Mm-hmm.
and introduce myself as Dr. Henry Banerjee.
Mm-hmm.
I have brought for you this evening a simple scarf. It is, sadly, merely a token. Because what could I give a man currently of simple means, of any significance to a woman of such power as a queen?
I'm knocking your difficulty down by 1 for that. So it's just 5.
Great.
Oh my
So I'll
God.
roll 5 dice.
Okay.
Possible.
Remind me,
No, Neill, go.
I was just going to ask, just remind me, how well has Mandrill done with her 5 dice, 5 success hunting rolls?
That's true. 1,000,000 to 1 chances, 100%
Look,
of the time,
impressing
etc.
queens and catching rats. It's all the same thing.
Basically, it is basically the same thing, let's face it. Both of them.
I'm going to Blood Surge, which is an extra 2 dice, right?
Mhm.
I have it written on my sheet. It's 2 dice.
I have so much belief.
It is 2 dice as of the companion.
Yes. Good.
Oh, come on.
No.
Don't forget
yes.
willpower, even then. Yes.
What? There's currently only 2 successes.
Yeah, come on.
I only have 1 willpower, but it
Can-
is willpower refresh next week. Let's spend that
Next
willpower.
week, yes.
Can it be a crit?
Could be, yeah.
Could be.
You could roll two 10s and a success.
Let's go for it.
100% of the time.
It's only 4
time.
successes. Also, in rolling those 3, I knocked one of my other successes over, so technically I lost 1 in the roll.
Mm.
No, it's
Absolutely,
4
that's-
successes.
That's how it works. Queen Anne looks struck by your outrageous compliment for a second, and then says, "Yes, Dr. Banerjee, interesting to see you again. I wonder if you are aware that your family's presence in so many Camarilla cities is now, controversial to say the least. But as you say, a simple man with a simple gift. Thank you so much. She waves you over to the left.
Oh, man.
So, I believe, you have rejoined us. I remember you all. Some more than others. She gestures with a smile to Catherine. What brings you back to London, and what brings you here seeking an audience with your queen? She's very definitely addressing all of this at Catherine.
We met misfortune for a time, my queen, and I apologize that the first thing we're doing when we come back into your domain is to ask for any kind of boon. But we have come to find something which might relieve a predicament we're in.
And what predicament would this be, Lady Montague?
I will look around vaguely significantly at the fact that we have an audience, and just say, we are looking for a clay, and I'll whisper this, but not over mic because it'd be annoying, a clay seal, your queen.
She leans forward slightly and says, and what particular clay seal? As I said, Lady Catherine, my time is somewhat limited here with you.
It is from Mithras, my queen.
There is an immediate slight dying down in the hubbub in the room. Queen Anne's eyes flick to Lady Scarlet very briefly. Lady Scarlet turns, claps loudly, and says, "Clear the room, please. The Queen wishes a private audience." And the elders funnel out, several of them glancing curiously at you. Once the door is closed, Lady Scarlet stands by it, and Queen Anne leans back in her chair with a creak and says, are you yet aware of the fate of... I do not even wish to speak of it. It's too terrible to countenance, even now, 60 years later. As you can imagine, my presence as Prince of London, it is a heavy head that wears this crown, knowing that it must follow. He was so very special to us all.
I have heard that you have done a grand effort in his departure, my queen. We have heard only recently re-entering the city, and I'll look at my companions. Relatively firmly, we have heard great things about your reign.
Oh, yes, yes. We've heard them not just in London, but news reached us far and wide.
And what have you been told of Mithras' fate? Who has brought you up to speed? I feel it is important that I know exactly what conclusions you have drawn. I would not want you to be running around falsely informed of a figure so important to us all, and to you specifically.
We have heard sad news, haven't we, Catherine? Such sad
Yes.
news regarding Mithras, that he disappeared, likely not to return again during the Blitz. I think we have been told that by Shirazi, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what Shirazi said.
And importantly, my queen, we have been told that he, before his final death, secreted some of our possessions away, and the clues to finding it are in this clay seal of his.
Really, you suspect that even from beyond the grave, he may be reaching out to help and guide us somehow?
Mithras
I
was.
will. Sorry. No.
Mithras has already given us played a huge part in our return to London, and we owe a debt to him to follow on his follow the final request that he left for us, even if they are the end of a journey, the end of our journey with him.
Whilst Alice is speaking, I'm not going to interrupt her, but I'm going to give a facial expression to try and convey that I don't agree with this at all, because I don't want to give Queen Anne the impression that I'm of that mindset.
Sure.
Okay, sure.
I'm not going to interrupt.
Sure. Can we all have a wits plus insight roll at difficulty 4, please?
Finally, some gosh darn good rolls.
Okay. I'm rolling
Thank
3
you.
dice. Difficulty 4. Failure, 2 successes.
Oh, 2 successes.
I'm just going to go with my blood surges as it's been going well so far.
Yeah.
There was a
Oh
difficulty
yeah, I
4.
need to do my blood surge.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, 4 successes
Whoa.
on a 6
4
die
successes.
roll.
And I'm
Yeah.
still on hunger 0.
Excellent. Well, it's kind of appropriate since Catherine and Alice are maybe not the ones focusing on the conversation more, but the ones kind of interacting directly with
Engage.
Queen Anne more. There, as soon as the conversation turned to Mithras, there was something, an undercurrent under Queen Anne's words, and the moment you suggested doing some form of task for Mithras, or his influence still being felt, or something like that, it rose up even more. You can't put your finger on it precisely, and you can't be 100% sure, but you're fairly sure that in there, still underneath, Queen Anne is terrified.
Then I will jump on what Alice says, and I must confess, my queen, I am not entirely sure if it is a task that he wishes us to do, or simply some other activity he was engaged with. But regardless, we just wish to find our missing objects and be done with the whole affair.
Then
And
the
if-
whole thing. Then we can put this whole matter to rest.
I see. And obviously, it cannot have escaped your notice that our streets are somewhat turbulent of late. This so-called Operation Antigen, inquisitors, mortals who seek to dethrone the royal personage, obviously all under control. Have you encountered any problems since you returned to us?
Yes. In fact, that was what inspired me to offer my service. They seemed significantly more adept than the mortals that we have dealt with in the past, but still obviously manageable.
Entirely manageable.
Yeah, so long as you have good soldiers.
Yes. And I suppose good soldiers may be what is required, not only to face this antigen, but also, well, I have the seal that you seek. It is in my trust. It is safe. But I don't feel... I feel I would be doing a disservice to hand it to someone unless they prove their loyalty, not to me, to the Eternal Prince, Mithras, his memory. I have information yet to be acted upon, and I'm sure that for loyal servants such as yourself would, well, perhaps leap at the chance.
What is this information?
It will surely disturb you to know that the death of Mithras during the war, well, it was no accident. There were invisible hands working against him, orchestrating his demise. How else would such a potent and glorious member of our clan, our society, meet his end? And as it happens, I have access to one of the primary conspirators in the matter. I also feel it would be timely were he to meet his demise tonight. You would be doing a service to the Prince of London, but more than that, a service to Mithras.
I assume, I'm sure that the information you have is not only accurate but well sourced and verified. Could you provide us some information about its veracity, just so that we could? How well can you trust this information that you've been provided? That you
I trust this information absolutely. I have from the closest, most trustworthy of sources, a confession to orchestrating his death. Does anyone want to try and tell if she's lying about this?
100%,
Yes.
1,000%.
That's absolutely fine.
I don't.
It is a wits plus insight roll at difficulty 5.
How does blood surging work again?
You roll for rousing, and then you get basically to add 2 dice to a roll.
Okay.
Any roll involving an attribute, right?
I am not rolling as Catherine doesn't care.
I do care, but have no chance of making that. So I'm going to stay in blissful ignorance.
Fair enough.
I blood surged and spent a willpower to get 6 successes.
Okay.
There is nothing more important to Alice than knowing the truth of this information.
What Queen Anne is saying is true, but
Yeah.
although
it's a confession.
I'm going to say but there are other motives at play.
Sure.
Which, I mean, you're a vampire dealing with another vampire. That's almost a given, right? But
yeah, exactly.
as far as Queen Anne is concerned, she's telling you the truth. She's sending you after someone who orchestrated the death of Mithras.
Okay, good. So she's not telling the truth in that she believes that they confessed to this, but she also believes that the confession was true.
From what you can tell with
from
that
my
role,
guess,
yes, absolutely, yes.
That's all I need to know.
She seems on the level asterisk.
Yeah, as on the level
the
of
core of what she's saying seems true to you.
Yeah, great. Well then, Alice.
And you know what? You know what, Alice?
Alice is so happy.
Right. That was a big role to have made, and it's directly about Mithras. And I'm going to reward you for that with some memoriam.
Love me some memoriams.
So let's have Alice briefly blink out of the conversation for a second. And you stand between a god and his acolytes, and their worship is intoxicating. Dressed in white, you lead the faithful in the rituals of exaltation. You are the handmaiden of Mithras, a part of his divine will. His power flows through you, and you feel his presence beside you always. You will never be alone and never know fear, as your Lord watches over all your works in his name.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Does anyone else want to pick this up then? Because I feel like Alice is kind of, a bit occupied for at least 30 seconds or so.
Catherine will just say, "Of course, my queen. Who is it that has so offended Her Majesty and the court of London?"
And Mithras.
Yes.
Most importantly, of course, Mithras. Well, it is devastating to have to name a member of our own clan, Lady Catherine. But his name is Valerius. Like with most of the prominent kindred of London, you all kind of recognize the name deep down, but you can't really pin them down to specific memories or images.
My queen, that is dreadful.
Yes, and he, such a trusted advisor for so long, to myself, to Mithras, and yet, all the while, a traitor.
Such a betrayal. Catherine's desperately racking her brain to go, Valerius.
Yeah.
Tonight, I have fabricated a reason for this individual to be moved through London. To be, some individuals have grown a little flighty, given the current circumstances. Valerius is one of them and wished to be evacuated out of the city as a prominent member of Clan Ventru. I could not refuse him, but I made sure that his method of evacuation was one I had exquisite control over. I can give you a location, his methodology of travel, and though I am loath to offer you advice on what I'm sure some of you, she waves at Tommy, are experts at, physical violence and the like, I could, with a single phone call, have you added to his security detail. Alternately, I can provide you with crude weaponry and explosives of other kinds. Unless you had any other suggestions for a manner in which to execute this execution.
I'll give a sidelong look at Tommy, military expert he claims to be.
I think Alice might even kind of like, in a fit of anger, kind of almost cast herself at the feet of Queen Anne and just any help that you could provide us in bringing this despicable individual to justice would be so appreciated. Thank you for the opportunity. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Shall we say that rather than at her feet, because she's at a table,
But
or a desk, like you lean over the desk. Otherwise, you're kind of
I might rush to the desk or something. But like this is a big deal for Alice.
Pierre's back. As you kind of rush towards, she doesn't seem kind of alarmed by this anyway. And as you kind of lean over the desk towards her, she places a hand and taps it quite, almost robotically on your clasped hands and says, "Oh, my dear, I can see that this means such an awful lot to you. Of course, you shall have anything you want, but tell me, do we feel that a form of infiltration might be what's called for, or do you wish to take a more direct approach or an approach of your own?"
I think looking around, to infiltrate his inner circle probably would allow us to act most effectively and quietly. This doesn't need to be a public affair, does it, my queen?
I would far rather it not be, especially given the unsavory individuals prowling the streets at the moment. Would this suit the others of your coterie?
It makes little difference to me, as long as he ends the night dead.
Whatever is your
It's
wish.
Tommy and Catherine responding. Sorry, Neill.
Whatever is your wish, my queen, it shall be done.
I would. Yes.
Someone making very odd noises in the background there.
Yeah, that was my housemate.
Cool.
But no, I'll just say yes. I assume that what we've just been talking about is a stealthy approach to assassinate this man. Sorry, I was.
Oh yeah, you hopped off.
I was
didn't you?
cut out for that time.
She has essentially either offered you, the means to make a somewhat brutalist approach, which she kind of it was kind of clear wasn't something she thought was maybe a very good idea.
Sure.
But she also offered to, with a single phone call, have you placed in his security detail.
That would be ideal. Yes, I am in favor of this plan.
Wonderful. That is simply wonderful. Well then, she gestures to Lady Scarlet to come on over. Please see that the matter is taken care of before the morning arrives. Return here, and I will have your reward granted to you as soon as you have provided proof of Valerius' demise. Obviously, video, photo will do, to push some personal object of his if matters do not allow for more precise evidence. Scarlet will be a dear, she says to Scarlet, who nods at her. Scarlet wheels around and walks off towards a room on the side, one of the only rooms that doesn't have glass walls enclosing it, and says, please, this way.
Gladly follow.
Bow one last time to the Queen and then follow.
Yeah.
Similar.
So, Scarlet leads you into what seems to be essentially an empty office room, an empty meeting room. Although at one end of it, it has an elevator, a rather small one, with room only for you are pushing it with the group of four of you essentially. She walks you over to it, steps in, and says, "I'll take you down to the garage. There are some supplies there you may find handy."
Much obliged.
The elevator descends. This is a switch between scenes. Some of us need to roll remorse. Yes.
I did, and I rolled mine off screen because I went, "Oh no, we've skipped the remorse bit." But I passed.
No worries. Cool.
Sorry for the lack of grammar.
So you remove your stains, but your humanity stays the same. Which is just as well for you, because if I recall, Henry's humanity isn't particularly high anyway.
No, but it's higher than his willpower.
Good stuff. So, is anyone going to say anything or make any kind of conversation on the way down in this elevator with Lady Scarlet, or are we just standing in silence?
Can we assume that Catherine's making mild, inoffensive small talk?
Sure. Cool. Anyone saying anything else?
Henry is going to stay incredibly quiet and also hope that Catherine doesn't say anything that will get us kicked out the door.
Sure.
I might mention. So, Churchill, you are very well connected.
I am, yes, Lady Churchill.
Lady Churchill, apologies. You are very well connected. Do you have any advice for someone like me as to where I could meet my Richard de Word. I'll just say.
She kind of her eyes widen a second. She says, "De Word? Oh my, yes. Well, it's honestly." He is usually present at Elysium, rather a gadfly, and I suppose we were surprised not to see him tonight, causing trouble with his very presence. I'm not sure that anyone knows really how to get in touch with him, as everyone believes he turns up far too often already. I think you could try wandering the underground, dear.
Much appreciated. It's interesting that he wasn't. Yeah, there's a good confirmation that he wasn't there, even though I wasn't in that room.
So the elevator continues downwards. It's like I said, a fairly small, very box-like, coffin-like metal elevator that is almost completely silent. And you realize you kind of didn't realize when it actually stopped moving because it's so smooth. The doors roll aside, and in front of you is a relatively small underground garage that seems to be perhaps for the use of the Queen and her confidants and ghouls. You can see several cars, all of which are kind of fancy in one way or another, up against one wall. And Scarlet walks forward, turns to the right, and unlocks a metal door in the wall, which she throws open and says, "Oh, help yourselves. There's no heavy arms in there, I'm afraid, but I'm sure it'll do." Inside are essentially racks and racks of handguns.
I will eagerly approach and sort of appraise them and like look down the sights and weigh them, and
obviously they're far more advanced than what you're used to, but also at the end of the day, and please don't anyone in the comments, I don't care that I don't know about guns, so don't start. A gun is a gun, and the fundamental design has not changed. They are powerful. They look and seem powerful. And there's everything in there from revolvers through to very large, heavy sort of Desert Eagle style pistols.
Okay.
Are there any nice looking knives?
Yeah, you know what? I don't see why there wouldn't be some knives in there.
Tactical
absolutely.
knives or
I mean, very modern, kind of modern military sort of things.
Yeah, not like carved,
not like sacrificial. No,
what is wrong with these people? How many only sacrificial knives? Well, I'll take one if that is really all that is on offer.
Sure.
I will see Alice taking a knife, take a knife or two myself, and then go to only one, but I don't have pockets, obviously. And then go to Tommy rather gingerly say, "Darling, which of these would you recommend for a beginner?"
Okay, I'll appraise them, and I will choose one that I think is appropriate for Catherine's build, and is just very practical as a very simple handgun.
Yeah.
And I'll just give her some pointers on how to use it and stuff like that. And
sure.
Here you go.
What about? Sorry. No, carry on.
As you say, Catherine will be very attentive and not at all condescending or sarcastic in this process.
I'm too enthusiastic to notice any sarcasm.
Well, she isn't anyway.
Yes.
Sure. How about Henry?
Henry is going to also look at the knives, but he's going to pick out something small. Something small and fine that can be easily hidden on the person.
Sure.
And then he is also going to approach Tommy and say, "I have never fired a gun in my life or unlife. I have no interest in them, but we are in a different time and a different world. and I suspect I may need one.
Okay. Perhaps for Henry, I would recommend like a much larger, showier gun that is just like something that is. So I'll explain the reasoning. Potentially, this acts as a good distraction while you use something you're more familiar with. You want to draw people's eye to the big, scary gun while potentially having an alternative on hand that is the actual thing to be worried about. Or you can choose as you feel.
I will take the gun that Tommy offers me and take a moment to examine the mechanism of it.
Okay.
In that case, if we can pop these things on the inventory so that we don't have to check them later.
Yeah.
So I would say that Catherine has been given, and these are odd designations, but stick with me, a light gun, which represents +2 on your damage value. That's all you need. Alice, I would say that you have been given a fighting knife, a tactical knife, I guess, and that is also at a +2. And Neill has said in the chat, take a knife as well. Yeah, absolutely. And all the knives are +2. So Henry, yours is +2 as well. Tommy, if you've taken one, it's +2. They are all the same. They're all actually no. Well, Henry said something smaller, so you know what? There's like a flick knife in there as well. It's still +2. All the knives are +2. As for extra guns, I think Tommy and Henry are maybe taking the same one, which is the biggest, heaviest, most heavy duty gun, which is kind of like, as I say, like a kind of Desert Eagle, big old pistol, and that is going to be a +4 damage value.
Okay.
One of the things I like about V5, incidentally, over a lot of earlier stuff, is A, it simplifies weapons, and B, it doesn't do the weird thing where it's like pistols do less damage than rifles. What?
A bullet through the head
depends on the size of the bullet, not the size of the gun. I mean, I say that, but as I've said before, I don't know anything about guns. Lady Scarlet waits for you to conclude your handing out of these things. Although, you know what? Actually, before we do that, Henry just examined the mechanism of something, didn't he?
Yep.
Let's give you a very small memoriam. And it links in a way to your last one, I'm afraid.
Do we need a content warning for the audience?
No. It's not that bad. So we just have this is a very brief one, so just a little flash in your brain of the beauty of the mechanisms of life when you first opened up an animal. So let's move on. So as you all leave the room with all the weapons, Scarlet turns and says, "Oh yes, well, here's a key card." She holds it out. To no one in particular.
I will take it.
Oh no, I let Henry take it.
That is for the lift on your way back up. And she holds out some car keys.
I will take those.
She indicates a very kind of functional fancy car. So what, like a Beamer or something, BMW, something like that, and says, "There you go. Here is the address you want." She holds out a piece of paper with an address written on it, and says, "He is waiting there for further members of a security detail to arrive. The plan is for him to be driven to a certain location. There will be an exchange of cars, and then he will go on to an airport, a small one." Ensure he does not.
Absolutely.
If you succeed in this, We will see you before the sun rises here, where I'm sure Queen Anne will see to your needs. If you do not, well, I would not return. She turns and starts walking towards the elevator.
Okay. I realize, like I say to the others, I realize I took the keys, but I don't actually. Not
No,
particularly good at driving. Do any of you? Okay,
No.
I guess I'm learning. And then I walk up to the car and I open it up and yeah.
Does anyone have any points in driving at all?
Do we know how to drive? Just like in normal V5, can we assume we know how to drive if we don't have it?
Yeah, I think that's fine. That is fine.
Then I might actually say to Tommy, if you would like, darling, I can drive, and then you can be ready to do something if something bad happens.
Oh, yeah, that would be helpful. I'll get in the front seat, front passenger side seat.
Yep. I'll get in the driving seat then.
I'll throw
I'll
across the
let
keys.
myself into the back.
Same here.
Very well.
This is nice.
Going on a road trip, guys.
So, the address that you've been given is in the London Docklands, so not very far from where you are now, essentially. Catherine sets off. It's to you. Why don't you give me your choice of intelligence plus drive or intelligence plus technology to see how well you're adapting to a modern car. And we won't set a target. We'll just take it, see what you get. If anyone, who is Tommy the other one in the front?
Yeah.
Do you have any point? What are you rolling, Neill?
For drive, you mean?
Well, are you rolling drive or technology, or does it not matter?
It doesn't matter.
Tommy, do you have any points in technology?
Nope.
Okay, never mind. You can't help. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm rolling 3 dice.
If this is a cult car, I might be able to work out how it works.
I should have driven.
This is my best non-will-powered roll. 3 successes on 3 dice.
Wow.
There we go. Yeah, you get the you drove an I nearly said automacar. Like you drove an automobile back in the days when they were first becoming fashionable. And this one, it is significantly more advanced, but again, fundamentally, there's a wheel and there's pedals, and you figure out the rest as you go. Fortunately, for Catherine, perhaps let's say it's what are they called? Also,
Automatic.
audience, I don't know anything about cars. It's gearless. What's the term?
Automatic.
Automatic. It's an automatic.
Yeah.
So
It's
that
fine.
makes
Just
it-
call me Tom Sawyer, like in that film we
Yeah.
don't speak of.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least we don't have to
God,
crank
that
this
just-
one.
I just had a memoriam of Leeds Extraordinary Gentleman.
I just want to say, when you had an automacar moment, I had a memoriam of saxophone.
Oh man.
Oh dear.
I think these are called memories, guys.
No, Pierre.
So, okay. So Catherine is driving very well through the streets of London, towards the Dockland. Are you guys talking or planning or anything like that as you're on your way?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be like a 15-minute drive at most.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when are we springing this trap? Are we letting him get in a car? Or are we just, as soon as one of us is behind him?
We can't know whether the place that we meet him will be very quiet, and if this antigen is really a huge threat, it might be best to take him somewhere discreet.
Okay. I guess I searched the car glove box for a map of something to see if there's any kind of good location to drive as opposed to an airport.
We can always tell him that new activity of antigen is necessitating a change in plans. Maybe we need to make a stop along the way to pick up extra security or something like that.
Or that there's another car. Or wasn't there another car to...
There is a
car?
car exchange which is happening in a rather remote warehouse location.
Okay.
almost as if Queen Anne was planning something like this anyway.
Hmm.
We could always tell him the truth. I say whilst checking mirrors.
I mean, before we kill him, we'll tell him the
Wait,
truth. Yes,
I
What?
mean that someone is trying to kill him.
it's true.
Perhaps even that Anne is trying to kill him, and we're just helping him out.
I mean, it's direct. I like that, Catherine.
He might not be able to trust his own people. They might have been. And I'll wave a hand whilst trailing off.
Okay.
Yes.
So
And
our intention is
who-
to get him in this car, right?
Oh, at least for some period of time, I think that's the plan. Yes.
How upset do you think Queen Anne will be if we mess up this car?
But if we mess it up and succeed in our task, potentially not very.
Okay.
I think not at all. She is the queen.
Fair.
I imagine she can buy fleets of these cars.
She owns the roads.
But what can we do to him once he is in the car? If he is powerful, it may be we may be in more danger than he is.
Well, I could try and weaken him.
That sounds like a good idea. If he's fast, we'll need to restrain him, make it so he can't move. I think surprise is our biggest advantage. If I can get a hand on him, I think that'll be useful.
Do we plan to spring our attack in the car or in the warehouse?
The car is quite dangerous. Somewhere quiet and discreet. Perhaps not the warehouse. Perhaps a new location.
What do you think of this idea? If we, for example, lay out some is there any way to make this car seem like it has broken down or been sabotaged in some way, and that way we can stop and get out and ask him to get out, and under the pretense that Catherine was suggesting that he is in danger, and then when he is out of the car we can do some sort of we can spring our trap.
I think
What do you-
stopping the car and getting out,
Okay.
taking the keys from the ignition, all of these are good ways of encouraging someone to leave a car.
Sure.
I would be doing a disservice if I didn't point out the plan is for him to leave the car
Sure.
in the warehouse.
Yes.
But
Yes.
just
We
We
but
already have a
it seems.
secluded location.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
aren't there going to be the people that he was going to meet originally? At the
well,
warehouse?
assuming Queen Anne.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you don't know what that situation is yet.
Yeah,
guess.
we'll have to see. Shall we have a word that we use to coordinate our actions?
Very covert of you. Perhaps a code.
Let's talk about the dawn.
What time is it? Out of interest, as in dawn isn't actually coming because there's no
No,
chance.
no,
of us
no.
using this code word
It's
in
probably
conversation.
about 11 o'clock at night.
Just wanted to check because it'd be a great code word if we then accidentally used it.
Yep. Okay. And then, hopefully there will be no one at the warehouse that we have to contend with other than this figure.
Speaking of code words, let's retcon a little bit. Lady Scarlet also told you to introduce yourself to Valerius as James's men.
Okay.
Can we retcon it slightly further still and have us asked who is James?
Yeah, sure. You will have asked that, and Lady Scarlet will have rolled her eyes slightly and said, "The king, dear."
That was of great help.
Yep. Well, I guess we're James's men. I'm happy with this plan. As long as I can get up close, I think I feel good. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's probably enough conversation to allow for the relatively short drive there. You pull up outside the building. It appears to be a kind of a shipping business. You like one that looks to be maybe shuttered at the moment. And you step out of the car. There is a light on inside, but there are like shutters are down on the main doors.
Okay. I briefly look around the place and see if there are where the exit points are.
Give me a wits plus awareness roll.
Okay, I'm rolling 5 dice. Is there a difficulty?
No, we'll just see what you get.
1 success.
Okay. You don't really pick up on the ins and outs of the place. You notice that there is a main door and there's a couple of windows here, and all of them are shuttered, but one of them has light kind of coming out from around the edges of it.
Could I use heightened senses to try and see if I can hear anything from inside the building?
Yeah, why not? Go on. Give me a resolve plus awareness roll. Difficulty,
Ooh.
I don't know, 3.
Oh, I don't like that. Add all specs to all, which is 2. Okay, that's slightly better. I'm rolling 4 dice
Mm-hmm.
and get 1 success.
Yeah, you don't hear anything.
No.
Justin.
Can I activate my discipline sense of the unseen to detect any supernatural wards or hidden things?
Yeah. What's the role? Is there a role you
I
typically make
believe
for it?
it's free, but there is a role for there's an opposed role, which is wits or resolve plus all specs versus wits plus obfuscate.
Oh yeah, this is one of the ones I hate because it's like, hey, let me make this roll, and whether I make it or not, you have the information. Sure.
Well, I'm capable of role playing without the info, as if I didn't.
No, I know. I just think it's inherently problematic.
You could just set a precedent of rolling every time anyone
Yep.
mentions sense the unseen, whether there's something or not.
I'm really glad you made that suggestion. It's something I already do. So give me the roll.
So yeah, I don't think whether I'm going to roll wits, not resolve, because I think that makes more sense. I think that I can't remember what the specific case is that you have to make the resolve roll.
Give me the roll and
3
tell me how many
successes. I was just talking 3 successes, while I was setting the roll up.
Yeah,
3
yeah.
successes.
You do not detect anything of the occult or supernatural going on in the immediate area.
Cool.
Other than the fact that you're pals with 3 vampires, But yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna walk up to the door. Does it appear to be locked? Like, does it have any chains over it or anything like that?
No, it's just it's got shutters drawn down.
Okay. While the other people are not yet at the door, I will open it and I will sort of stand out of the way of it and have a look round.
So it's got a shutter pulled down.
Oh, it's a shutter. I see.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess I will. Oh, I've got to lift it up, which will expose me. Yeah, I didn't see anywhere else to go in on my search apart from the windows. So I guess I will roll up the shutter.
Okay. Are you breaking it, or? The shutter's down, so it's.
Is it totally
locked in place?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was imagining a door. So yeah.
No.
Okay. I guess I will knock.
Sure. There's a short silence, and then a muffled voice from the other side of the shutter says, "Who is it?"
Oh no, I can't remember.
James's
men.
God, James's men. I was like, Johnson's men. No.
No. There is a brief silence, and then the sound of things unlocking. A door opens, and a shutter gets pulled up. On the other side is a man in a grey suit, quite like thuggish looking, white guy in a grey suit, got ghoul written all over him, who sort of peeks out in the street and waves you all in.
I walk in.
You walk in. There's a short corridor leading down to what is a large, seems to have been formerly perhaps a storage room. In the center of which is a chair, a quite simple wooden chair. Standing by it is a tall, athletic black woman in an identical grey suit. And sat in the chair, let's have Valerius up on screen, please, is a gentleman who looks like this, i.e. exactly what I wanted to look like in the 90s. I don't need to describe. I will describe him anyway, in case anyone's listening. He has long reddish hair, quite a trimmed beard, sort of quite aquiline, almost kind of slightly predatory features, but quite handsome with it, and is dressed in a very sort of very deep, dark purple suit. He is holding a large book like that, a sort of old-fashioned folio, and he is kind of reading from it as you enter the room.
Okay. Does he look up at all? Does he acknowledge our entering?
As you walk in, he slowly raises a finger and then drops it, closes the book with a clap, turns to you all and says, "Well, what's the plan?"
We're your ticket out of here. We've got a vehicle. We'll take you to a rendezvous point, and then we'll drop you off, and then you're on your way to the airport. As I'm talking to him, can I sense the beast?
Yeah, go for it.
So that's my resolve plus animalism versus composure plus subterfuge.
Okay, let me take a quick look at his stats. Sorry, which of his stats do you need to reference?
Composure and subterfuge.
Okay, that will be a difficulty 3 then.
Okay. I can't see where my animalism is. I guess it's 1. Yes, it is 1. So I am rolling 4 dice. Difficulty 3. I failed.
Okay. Yeah,
One success.
you're not picking up anything.
Okay.
His eyes kind of pan across the 4 of you, and he says, "Quite an unusual group. If I recall correctly, Ventru, Nosferatu, Tremere, even Hecata." He glances down, back at the book, and back up and says, "Why would the Queen send you for?"
I'm so flattered that you remember us.
I make it quite important to myself to remember names and faces, Lady Catherine.
I don't suppose I can impose upon you briefly. Do you know in your book what happened to Angelique?
I look across at Catherine.
Fresh out of the ground, then. Angelique is dead, Catherine.
Can't be wasting too much.
Frowned
Yeah,
uncomfortably at that.
we can't be wasting too much time. We should be getting on.
Well, we have at least a moment. I don't believe anyone has yet answered my question of why Queen Anne would send 4 individuals fresh out of the grave to come help me escape the current situation.
Valerius, as you can see, we barely are able to divine our own selves, never mind the intentions of her royal self. A royal personage, that's what I'd say.
Okay. Is anyone adding to that particular tack?
I will kind of mumble, but loudly. It may even have just been a game at our expense.
If nothing else, it is a way to win favor.
Okay. Alice, you're the one making the central argument, so I think I'll ask you to make the roll. And I
Yeah, fair.
think you'll probably be all right at it. If you're not, say, if it's
I'm not.
trash for you, well, it's manipulation plus subterfuge.
I've got nothing in subterfuge,
Okay.
and I've got 2 in manipulation.
You know what? Let's make the best person who was part of the general argument make the roll. That seems fair, right? And it looks like it's probably Catherine there. Yeah. Does Alice or Henry have subterfuge?
No.
Fuck.
Tommy?
Tommy didn't say anything. So
I didn't say anything. I
Well,
also
I'm
don't
blood
have any
pledging.
subterfuge.
yeah. Well, give me that roll, please. You're testing against multiple different numbers, so I won't give you a target.
I'm rolling 8 dice, so wish me luck.
Good luck, Catherine.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, I failed.
Yes.
Oh, I'm now at hunger 1.
Oh no.
I lasted a surprisingly long time.
Blood surging so
That's-
many
so that's the
times.
bad news. The good news is that I rolled 7 successes with a critical.
Woo!
Should I willpower to get more? Because I could.
No, don't bother.
But I've had to take a hunger die.
Yeah.
I hope you know how much this has pained me.
Terrible.
Don't worry. If tonight goes well, you won't have to have that hunger die for very long.
Well, I might eat him anyway. I mean,
Exactly.
So, Valerius, there's a kind of beat of silence in the room, and then Valerius drums his fingers on the book for a second and then stands up swiftly, holding the book to one side, and says, "Oh, very well then. It seems you are as unconvinced of your appropriateness of this task as I am, but that at least leaves us in the same boat. What is the plan? Jack, Diane?" He addresses the 2 ghouls. Jack steps forward and says, the car exchange is at a predetermined location, Master Valerius, and then once that is carried out, to throw anyone off our tail, we will proceed to Fair Oaks Airport, and from there, away. Valerius nods, turns to the 4 of you and says, "Anything to add?"
Let's just get this over with.
"Yes, I wouldn't want you to expend too much of your evening on my safety." He walks past you. Jack and Diane accompanying him out of the front, where there's another BMW parked a very short distance down the street, which Jack and Diane kind of start walking towards. Jack stops and turns back towards the 4 of you and says, "If you don't mind, we were the ones initially given the instructions. We'll go in the car with him. You follow."
Perhaps one of us should remain with him, just in case the cars get separated.
Unless you are absolutely sure that you are the best people to protect him against, with all 4 of us here.
The ghoul kind of like, I mean, you don't automatically know he's a ghoul. I shouldn't be saying these things. He's totally a ghoul. Kind of squares up a bit and says, "I'm sure we can take care of him just fine."
Yes. Absolutely. Safety in numbers, though.
Can I turn awe on and say, "Darling, someone needs to guard the rear. Let us do the heavy lifting. You've already had such a hard night, I'm sure. We'll look after Valerius. You watch the perimeter, and we can be done with this very quickly."
What roll would you like to make based off that?
Either charisma or composure plus persuasion.
Let's go with composure. Because it's not exactly a calm social situation.
Sure.
Plus persuasion, and obviously add any...
Or 3 dice.
add your ore to that. You're going to be at... I'm just going to look at modifiers, which I think I do have somewhere. Because your base difficulty is 4, but I feel like this isn't a base difficulty moment. I think he's going to be very resistant to this notion. So a change of circumstances, an environmental or external change, that will be the thing. Modifying. I think he's pretty set on this being the only thing he's here for and the only way he wants it to happen. So I'm going to add a +2, so that's difficulty 6.
I'm going to blood surge again. This is going to be expensive habits. That's 11 dice.
Yes, it's
It
stuff.
went so badly last time, Neill.
0 successes.
I'm going to re-roll that. Oh, that's
But
much
yeah.
better. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 10
So-
successes.
Oh, whoa.
But another of these damn dice. Okay, I think I've broken the streak now.
Yeah.
With a critical, by the way.
Okay. So he shares a glance with Diane and then says, all right, what you're saying does make sense. Look, how about we at least have one of us in there with you? He's requesting.
Hmm.
I don't feel he could stand by it firmly after 10 successes. So, but he's still requesting now, because you get to say you're in charge. Clearly, he's requesting that one of them be allowed to stay with Valerius.
I will look at the other and say, well, I will defer to my security experts, darling. What do you think?
Should be fine.
They don't think you should be, I'm afraid, dear.
There's room.
Exactly, there's no room.
Jack kind of nods and says, all right. And he says, well, one of you will have to come in our car anyway, right? You don't get the impression that Valerius will want to be bundled up with, in 3 in the back situation. He's an elder Ventru, not a sick former,
Yeah.
Of course, I'll come with you. I can lead from the rear with you.
Okay.
All right.
I start walking towards the car.
Keys?
Who is paying a considerable amount of attention to this conversation that's happening, particularly
Not me.
The conversation between
Catherine and Jack?
I am.
Anyone who is can give me a wits plus insight roll, please. Difficulty 4. In fact, difficulty 3. I'm going to modify it down.
I need to use hunger dice now. I hope you know what you've reduced me to.
Poor Ventru.
Just missed it. Only 2 successes.
0 successes.
Okay.
But I had half a metacritical, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to get running commentary on my hunger dice now that you've forced me into them.
So to summarize it, Jack, Diane, and Catherine are getting in their car, and Valerius is getting in the rear car with you. I mean, I say rear car; it's your car, but then it's going in front because
Sure.
you've said rear guard, right? So yeah.
Gotcha.
Valerius takes kind of a look at your BMW, shrugs, and immediately gets into the back seat.
I think I want to get in next to him.
Okay. I think Henry said he was taking the car keys.
Yes.
Sure. Which leaves Alice in the front next to Henry, I believe.
sounds good to me.
When you reach the ghoul's car, Catherine, Jack is in the driver's seat and Diane is sat in the back. So are you getting in the front next to Jack or the back next to Diane?
I'll get in the front because I might need to turn to Jack at some point.
Sure. So you all get in. Henry, why don't you give me a wits plus or an intelligence plus technology roll, please, to see
I'd
how
rather
well you
do-
figure out the car.
I am going for intelligence.
Good, because that's why I asked you to roll.
Oh, damn it! 1 success,
Okay.
which is,
Yeah,
is fine.
You definitely stall it a couple of times as you're setting off. And you can see Valerius in the rearview mirror looking at you kind of incredulously. And he says, he mutters under his breath again, fresh from the grave. What's she thinking? And then the cars peel off. You in front, and the ghouls and Catherine behind. I feel like this is a tense scene, so we all want to see what kind of conversations happen with Valerius. So let's go to the ghouls and Catherine first. Are you making any conversation as you're driving behind the other car?
I will make small talk, mainly designed to elicit out of them what their 2 responsibilities are and how they work for Valerius, just in case it happens to come in useful in the ensuing conflagration.
Sure. Why don't you give me a manipulation plus insight roll?
Ooh, that is
Difficulty 4.
5 dice. 4 dice. 4 dice. Difficulty 4, you say?
Mhm.
Can't afford a blood surge all the time now. So I got 4 successes with a messy critical.
Let's have a wee look at our messy critical options, shall we?
Compulsion.
Compulsion, masquerade breach, loss of advantage, stains. Don't see that. So compulsion. What do you propose, Neill?
I was going to suggest the dominance compulsion, that at some point I have to tell, which is the venture one, which is that I have to tell someone what to do and they do it, I think.
Yes,
How
without
about-
supernatural influence.
Without using supernatural influence.
So how many actual successes did you get? Sorry,
4,
4,
messy
wasn't it?
critical.
4. Okay. Let's say that they respond to you in a kind of disinterested, dispassionate manner and kind of just reel off a list of their usual roles, which are primarily to do with security and transport. It does become clear as they're talking, they are Queen Anne's ghouls, not Valerius ghouls. But the manner in which they respond to you is slightly disrespectful, especially after you asserted your rightful leadership before and has left you with this compulsion for dominance.
So the venture one is actually arrogance, not dominance.
Oh, arrogance. So what would that apply?
They're really, really similar. So arrogance is they need to do what I say. An order needs to be obeyed, which is not backed up by supernatural power, basically.
Sure. What do you get docked until that happens?
2 dice.
2 dice. Okay.
Is it just on social roles or is it on everything?
Any action not
Anything.
directly associated with leadership.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Which fortunately at least means when you need to actually make them do something, you don't get docked. And how long is that meant to last for? A scene? A night?
I believe it's until it's been done.
Oh, full stop. Okay.
I thought it was to the end of the scene. Oh.
No, just any action not associated.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, some of them last for a scene, others of them are.
I think it depends how harsh the dice penalty is. Depends how long it lasts. So, sure. Okay. So that is in place now. Are you attempting any further kind of conversation beyond this?
Well, now that I have a compulsion, is there anything I can nitpick them about? Like, are they traveling too fast or too slowly, or
they are traveling very inconspicuously? And you don't know necessarily the direction in which they're meant to be going. So, for example, you couldn't say this. I know a shortcut, or you know anything like that. You are essentially somewhat of a helpless passenger in this situation. So
Then
with the best will, I can't see a way.
I am going to wait then until they do something wrong, or just if we get in a situation I need them to get them to stop, I might try and get them to stop then.
Sure. So in the front car, we have Henry driving next to Alice, and in the back, we have Tommy and Valerius. Valerius is glaring brutally out of the window and is not particularly volunteering any, any conversation. Is anyone going to change that or try to change that?
If he's looking out the window, can I look at the book in his hand, see if there's anything special about it?
Sure. Not going to make you roll. It's right there. It's a very old-fashioned, obviously, binding. It looks like it's some years old. There is nothing written on the cover. There is no design. There's not an awful lot to be told about it. It's visibly very old. If you want, you can do a roll to see if you can detect precisely how old it is, which I guess would be something like Resolve plus academics.
I don't think
know.
I'm that like engaged in it. If I don't see a title on it, I'm probably giving up.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay.
It's not the latest Harry Potter book or anything like that.
It's not.
No, not that I know what that is.
A blessed state.
Do I start a conversation?
Anyone going to have anything else?
So
I think,
I think Alice might be tapping, like a bit, somewhere between nervously and in a controlled sense, but in a kind of, what's the plan? What are we going to do? Kind of.
Sure. It felt like Henry was going to say something.
Yeah.
Valerius, as you repeatedly remind us, we have been away for some time.
Yes.
Care to catch us up on events?
Well, as you are no doubt aware by now, Mithras is dead, and his queen. Anything else you particularly would like elucidated for you? Oh, Alice, your clan is nearly all dead.
Yes, I heard that. Damn shame.
He gives a facial gesture that seems to indicate he's not entirely sure that's the case.
Still, making room at the top.
I'm just tempted to just put my foot in it tremendously. So, yes, we heard about Mithras. It's a tragedy. He doesn't react. Okay.
No, he doesn't seem to particularly react to that. You're not sure whether he's just detached from the conversation or generally aloof, but he seems to be somewhat disinterested in conversing. But hey, it's quite a drive, so you probably got the time to try and get a bit more out of him if you want.
What do you think about this coming war?
He kind of looks over and considers the three of you and says, I suppose there's no harm in a bit of honesty. There's a reason I'm leaving London. If you had any brains left after your decades in the dirt, you'd do the same.
You seem to be leaving a lot of vampires behind. I guess they don't have the same information as you? Or the same judgment?
You could say that. I suppose I'm not being terribly civic-minded about it. I've seen the signs. I've lived through this before. Maybe it will blow over and be nothing. But they are knowledgeable and armed. And that, as I'm sure you are aware, is never a good combination, Thomas.
Yeah, we've had some run-ins with some fairly knowledgeable and armed individuals. You don't think that they can be controlled?
What, do you face their forces directly?
Did you say, did you face their forces directly? Sorry.
He did, yeah. That's what he said.
Yes.
A direct assault. The warehouse? Shirazi. Makes sense.
Should we trust Shirazi?
It depends. Do you want to bumble around doing the bidding of a dead god?
He's only recently dead for some of us.
I suppose that is true.
Old habits and all. Break hard.
Do you think Shirazi was particularly casual in his giving away the location of his warehouse?
No, Shirazi does a lot of things, but he's not stupid. And he's somewhat paranoid. And that's the problem, Thomas. People are being careful and they're still finding us. And that is why I'm leaving.
What were the last days of the last nights of Mithras's life like? What happened towards the end?
I've got
What
no
was he
bloody clue, Alice. I was not in favour.
Fair.
You're more likely to know than I do. He died not long after you were sealed away.
It all it's taking its time to come back to us.
No doubt. Is this it? He's asking. As Henry, you've figured out the sat nav and have found basically you're pulling in ahead. It's an area which is certainly a lot more out of the way than one kind of the Docklands where you left. It's more in outer London, and it's a what seems to be a disused warehouse in like a small industrial park, which he kind of Jack is behind you is already kind of put on his indicators to pull in.
I will do the same and make the turn. Say, we're here.
I glance at Henry in the mirror.
Valerius nods and says, "So we wait for the cars, or
That's
do
the
we go
plan.
inside?"
Well, might as well stretch our legs.
In the other car, Jack and Diane, who've been just driving along silently, have pulled in by this warehouse. And Jack kind of nods towards it and says, "That's the meeting place."
Well, aren't you going to make sure everything's okay? Make sure everything's tidy?
Can you give me a I'm going to say composure plus leadership roll, please. Difficulty 4.
44.
That's the social stat.
Gotta love leadership.
Wow, they have 8. Okay.
Wow.
Some of the predetermined stats for this particular bit are insane.
Wow.
Particularly
So-
Valerius, who I would say altogether is less powerful than Jack or Diane.
Oh,
I
sweet.
have-
I had to do a lot of manipulate because it was ridiculous.
Damn
He's
it.
meant to be like very old, and no.
I have a bestial failure.
Isn't
Oof.
that fun?
I already have a compulsion.
Sure. Right. Okay, we could do something crazy here, but I don't want to have Catherine just go nuts and start trying to drain them dry. It doesn't feel right. It also has acting out of compulsion. So how about this? This is my proposal. Feel free to fight back. I'm going to say what we do is either you have this compulsion now until you carry out the solution for it twice, or we ratchet up the difficulty on other rolls by 1, but you only have to complete it once. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think go with that. Just make the compulsion even more intense as I'm thwarted.
Sure. So you're now on -3.
Works for me.
Until you start, other than rolls where you're
Yeah.
trying to fix it. So yeah, you kind of snap, and Diane just turns to you. The person who hasn't been directly influenced by you essentially turns to you and says, "We don't work for you." Jack kind of opens up the. Do you think you should take superficial damage for that? The superficial willpower damage for that?
No, there's no one. There's not in front of anyone.
There's no one you care about there. Yeah, fair enough. Wow, I caved on that one quickly.
Take
so
the superficial damage.
Jack gets out of the car and is kind of like peering around, and he's kind of seems to be watching your car with the other 3 and to see what you're doing.
So I guess I'm going to get out, and then I guess I'll go around and open the door for him.
Okay. As you do so, Jack kind of walks up and says, "Whoa. Valerius stays in the car for now."
This is a little bit exposed. I think it's safer in the warehouse.
All right, but how about we just check out the area first, me and you? You seem a capable gent. You take a little walk in that direction, look around that side of the warehouse. I'll go this way. How about that?
All right.
Then we'll move him in.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, damn it. Yep. Okay. I'm going to, I'll do it as quickly as I can because I want to be close to Valerius, when things kick off.
So you start walking in that direction. Henry and Alice, I'm sure the windows weren't down, and it's actually quite, it's an expensive car. There's a fairly good ceiling. Were either of you trying hard to hear Tommy and Jack's conversation on the outside?
Probably, yeah. Alice is quite keen to keep an eye on what's happening around her.
I wasn't particularly trying to listen into that, but I was going to use heightened senses to listen for noises. So
Sure. Well, why don't you both make me a wits plus alertness roll, then, please? Wits plus awareness, rather, in this. And what does heightened senses do? Reduce the difficulty? Or
gives me an extra dice equal to my
That's
Auspex
fine.
level.
The difficulty is going to be, let's say 3. To hear the full ins and outs of the conversation.
Yeah, bestial failure.
Good
6
stuff.
dice. 2 successes. Damn it.
Okay. Well, neither of you here. A bestial failure at that. What's I'm assuming the Tremere compulsion is the dominance one, Neill?
It's perfectionism.
Perfectionism. That doesn't feel terribly appropriate.
There's always dominance or paranoia or harm.
Or
normal
if you were intentionally
Paranoia
trying to
might make sense.
eavesdrop the cryptophilia.
That's Nosferatu only.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Paranoia makes sense.
What's your hunger at?
1.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go with the paranoia. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
So, what is the? Did I do that? I don't think I did I? Someone did that.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Certainly was
Ghost.
Ghosts.
Either me or Steve or John.
I think it was Valerius.
It might have been Valerius. Yeah, let's go with What's the mechanics behind the paranoia one, Neill? If you have it available in front of you.
I have it. Basically, you need to go somewhere without a threat and spend an hour in a safe spot, like a rooftop or haven or deep underground, and stay there for an hour, and you get -2 on all rolls that aren't taken towards getting to a safe spot.
You know, that doesn't feel that appropriate either, I don't think, because you don't feel threatened. I hate it. Really seems like just the default one, but hunger increase?
Sure, yeah. It's fine.
I know that there's no particular rationale behind it, but
Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
So neither of you kind of hear the conversation. You see kind of Tommy walk ahead of the car. Tommy, are you are checking around?
Yes. Yes, I am checking around. I'm trying, as I say, I'm not trying to be as potentially thorough as I would ordinarily if I was trying to scope the place out, but I am looking around.
Sure. In that case, yeah, just give me a wits plus awareness roll, please.
Okay, that is 5 dice. Is there a difficulty?
No, just tell me what you get.
3 successes.
3 successes. Yeah, you're just kind of scanning around you for activity. You can see someone walking down a road kind of quite far ahead, maybe like 500 meters away or so, but it seems to be a generally really good out of the way spot, almost as if it was picked that way. You can see no activity on the in the industrial park itself or in the warehouse itself at all. Henry and Alice. Alice, so let's set the scene here. So you're on that kind of left-hand side of the back, and Valerius is next to you. Henry's in the front, and this is in Britain, so that means he's on the right. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep, cool. I know these things. So Henry, I think you have a better chance of noticing what's going on. Whatever that might be. Alice, you're probably generally unaware of this, but you will become aware when you feel you would be aware. Henry, you see kind of Jack take a few paces back towards the rear of the car, kind of look down after where Tommy is going, and after Tommy gets about maybe 30 feet away down, Jack takes a step back, seems to be kind of fiddling with the side of the car. You hear like a clunk opening. I'd say that if you were a modern human / kindred, you would know what he's doing, but you probably don't really know what that noise signifies in a modern car. You see a kind of flare of light in Jack's hands that disappears somewhere around the edge of the car with a kind of thwomp noise. Jack steps back, draws a pistol. At this point, I'd say you have seen enough weird activity to be able to take an action.
Mm-hmm.
And the action includes shouting to anyone else that something's happening. But I think Alice probably is barely aware of this, if aware of this at all. Yeah. Henry, you are aware of it. Tommy, you're 30 feet away with your with your back to it. Catherine, you can definitely see what's happening because you can see through the conference view. So Henry and Catherine, you both get one action before the next thing happens.
What is Diane doing? Because I'm still in the car with her, I believe.
You are, and Diane is sat directly behind you. So your action can be turning around to look at her if you want.
No, because I'd gain a 3 dice penalty to using a command, using like a discipline against her anyway. So I just say, you should go and find out what that is.
Okay. Let's. Yeah. So Henry, what are you doing?
Something.
Okay.
I'm going to. Can I pop the door of the car open?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try and get out, I think. Or I'm
Okay,
going to
so
make a move to get out.
Yeah, that's fine. So you open the car door and you're going to start to get out.
Yeah.
Okay. As you get out, two things happen. First, the engine in front of you, the flappy thing on the front of the car, the bonnet buckles and rockets up in the air, and a great gout of flame erupts from the front of the car. The second thing is that Jack completes drawing his pistol, takes very quick, steady aim at Valerius, and empties his magazine through the window into Valerius's body. And I think we'll end the session there.
Cool.
Yep. Oh man.
No one at me with "that's not how cars work." I don't care. I don't know guns. I don't know cars.
The car is exploding in fire.
Yes, the car is on fire, broadly speaking, or is about to be further engulfed in flames. And Jack has riddled Valerius with bullets, or at least attempted to. I guess we'll find out how successful that was next week. If you have any comments or questions, please flag them up in the chat so that Steve can flag them up here, and we will respond to them. Otherwise, we have a bunch of links down below. We have links to YouTube and Twitch. You're watching on one, why not check out the other? We've got links to our social media, Twitter, Instagram. We have links to our Discord if you want to talk about all things Telling Tales or all things role-playing in general. Come join us on that. We have a Patreon link if you want to support us. Go there and do that. We've got tasty treats there, like character creation videos, including for Vampire, and other such things. We run 3 series weekly: Call of Cthulhu on Mondays, Vampire on Tuesdays, Simbaroom on Wednesdays. They all start at 8 o'clock British Standard Time. British Standard Time? British Summer Time. I don't know. BST, whatever. It's all bullshit. And we have monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. That means this Saturday we're playing Merkborg.
You sound like the Swedish chef.
It is. I am. Yes, sure. Merkborg is what we're playing. It's a doom metal RPG of a game. Come check that out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, British time. Yeah, that'll be it. Some people here are playing that, right?
Yep.
John, Pierre, you're playing it, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Fun. Good stuff. Good stuff.
It's gonna be good.
So there we go. We also have a couple of new followers tonight. We have, I don't know, Bolo Zero. Is that how you wish to be named? Right. Bolo Zero and Vastata Tempore.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I don't know guns. I don't know cars. I don't know Italian.
But you do know Vastata Tempore.
Yeah.
It's basically French.
Yeah.
Italian's basically French. Just in never sounding more like a 19th century British naval officer or something. Italy, that's practically France.
I think technically a policeman. Let's go.
So there we go. Have we got any comments or questions, folks? Stephen, anything in there?
What's going on?
All quiet.
What's
all
going on?
Quiet.
Yeah.
There we go. So we're looking.
Silence.
yeah, we're looking to wrap up this little arc of Fall of London next week. It feels quite climactic, right? Climactic stuff is going to happen. And then we're actually going to take a week off. We're going to take a week off
What?
Vampire and a week off Symbaroum. Maybe Call of Cthulhu. That hasn't been determined yet, but I'm taking a week off. So those series have to take a week off.
Well,
And then we'll be back the week after that with more London Ascendant. So with our original coterie. Yeah, there we go.
Right.
Thanks for
Some
watching,
new
everyone.
content.
Thanks for
everyone.
playing. Thanks for stream managing, everyone. Different roles individually. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Farewell.